Alex Pereira knocks out Jiri Prochazka in the second round to become a two-division world champion, and he did it with none other than the left hook. The same punch that led to the finish against Israel Adesanya a year ago in the same building where he became a middleweight champion. The same punch that knocked out the current middleweight champion Sean Strickland. The punch that knocked out so many people in kickboxing, and the punch that he is most famous for. Jiri had done a pretty good job masking that right hand through different setups like feints and jabs. Right before he got knocked out, he rocked Alex with a big right hand where he enters in behind his jab, and as Alex backsteps and extends his arms, which was his only defense throughout the fight, Jiri finds the hole and lands the big right hand, which backs Alex up to the cage. Now, the last time Jiri backed Alex up to the cage, Jiri had a lot of success. Alex had done a pretty good job throughout this fight staying off the fence, which we'll get into in a little bit, but the one time he did get backed up against the fence, he sort of panicked and started trying to brawl with Jiri, and Jiri does his best work when he backs his opponents up. And because of the success Jiri had earlier when Alex was stuck against the fence, Jiri got a little overconfident here, where he throws a massive right overhand with no setup that was thrown from the hip with so much telegraph. Alex was easily able to see it, avoid it. Actually, it looked like it grazed a little bit, but look where Yuri's chin is, straight up in the air with his hands low at his hips, which left the opening for Alex to land the right hand and then the famous left hook behind it. The right hand hurt Jiri and then the left hook dropped him. From there, Jiri shot in a desperation takedown where he was pretty much out on his feet. Alex started throwing elbows and Jiri sort of fell backwards and the fight was stopped. Personally, I think it was an early stoppage. Jiri was definitely out. He even admitted it himself. He definitely lost consciousness for a split second, but it seemed like he had regained himself by the time he hit the canvas, and he stood up pretty quick. Now, he was a bit wobbly, but at the same time, we have seen Jiri in pretty much every single one of his fights get hurt at some point, and every single time he recovered, came back, and won the fight. And it was for the title, so I would have liked to see that fight go on a little longer, but I'm not sure Jiri would have survived much longer. Alex fell into full mount, one of the most dominant positions, and likely would have just kept landing ground and pound until the fight was stopped. And I've always said I would rather an early stoppage than a late stoppage, but I still would have liked to see the fight go on just a little longer. But it was a great fight from both guys. Both guys were very patient. They respected each other's power, knew one punch could end the fight at any time. Alex set up everything off the leg kicks. He has, as I have said before, the best leg kicks in the UFC. They have no telegraph, and Jiri doesn't check leg kicks at all. He stands so wide and so heavy on that front foot, the leg kicks were always there. Combine that with the fact that Alex has no telegraph on his leg kicks, doesn't even turn over his hips, which made the leg kicks super effective. The first one he landed clean and knocked Jiri off his feet onto the ground. And the leg kick damage kept piling up, which caused Jiri to have to switch stances to southpaw to avoid the outside leg kick. But Jiri was always looking for that right straight, which means he'd have to switch back into orthodox. And the second he switched to orthodox, Alex would land the leg kick, causing Jiri to have to switch stances again. Jiri was definitely having some success in this fight with a lot of the weird techniques he would use, like when he would feint for a takedown and then land an uppercut. He did this a couple times throughout the fight. Like here when Jiri feinted the single leg, causing Alex to pull his hips back while he extended his arms forward, leaving room for the uppercut down the center. And that was Alex's primary defense throughout the entire fight. He would backstep and extend both of his arms out to try and block the punches or kicks, which made him extremely predictable and actually allowed Jiri to land a few good shots like that uppercut, like that right straight that really hurt Alex. Alex has a massive weakness to the right straight. It's a punch he doesn't see too well. Izzy knocked him out with it, almost knocked him out in the first fight with it as well. And it's partly because he sort of ducks his head away and doesn't keep his eyes on his opponent. And it was clearly the punch Jiri was looking for and trying to set up off the jab, off the feints, which I said in my prediction video is the punch Jiri's going to have to land on Alex if he wants to knock him out. Alex is used to fighting traditional kickboxers, but Jiri is the opposite of traditional. The awkward punches he'd throw from weird angles, his different feints, and unique footwork made it a lot harder for Alex to figure Jiri out because he's just not used to seeing and defending those type of strikes, which aided in some of Jiri's early success. But as the fight wore on into the second round, Alex began to figure Jiri out. He was able to intercept a lot of Jiri's movements with his jab. He was able to even intercept Jiri's feint with a high kick that didn't land great, but Jiri did only block it with one hand. Jiri was even able to take Alex to the ground where he shoots in on a single leg. As Alex tries to intercept him with a left hook that just misses, Jiri backs Alex up against the cage, and Alex actually threatens with a guillotine here, which is the same thing he did against Jan Blachowicz. Anytime someone seems to shoot him for a takedown on Alex, he goes straight for the guillotine, so it's something his future opponents have to watch out for. Now, this guillotine wasn't a great attempt. Jiri definitely felt something because Alex had his hands collapsed and was putting pressure on the neck, but in order for Alex to complete that guillotine, he would need to crank hard and raise his elbow. It's called a high elbow guillotine, but he didn't do that. He let go, and Jiri actually showed good wrestling where he dumped Alex on his head off the high crotch. Jiri took Alex down in the first round, and Alex's takedown defense didn't look too good. Now, that's for one main reason. When Jiri shot the takedown, Alex, instead of going to the underhooks, looking to defend the takedown and separate like he probably should have, decided to go on the offensive and try and complete that guillotine. But because he went for the guillotine instead of playing defensive and actually looking to defend the takedown, Jiri was able to take him down pretty easily. Now, Alex looked great off his back. He controlled posture very well. He was constantly hand fighting and controlling Jiri's arms, not allowing Jiri to get anything off. Jiri only landed like one good elbow. That was it. From there, Alex was able to find his way to the fence and work his way up from the bottom. He got up from the bottom against Jiri and Jan Blachowicz, which is something I didn't know if he'd be able to do. Now, here's where it gets a little ridiculous. All three judges gave the first round to Jiri, but that round was clearly a 10-9 for Alex. Jiri landed like 2 good strikes on the feet. That was it. The leg kicks Alex landed were by far the most damaging thing that happened throughout that round. Alex landed like 10 good leg kicks. 2 of them even knocked Jiri off his feet. And if you don't know, in the scoring criteria, it says damage trumps everything. And then some people will bring up, what about the takedown Jiri got? Control time doesn't mean shit. Control time only means something when the effective striking and effective grappling are equal. And not only did Alex outland Jiri on the feet and land the much more damaging shots, but Alex did more on the ground too. That guillotine he threatened with, although not a great attempt or that close, was much more effective than anything Jiri did on the ground. For 2 minutes, Jiri pretty much just sat in half guard. He didn't pass guard, he didn't get mount, get Alex's back, he didn't attempt any submissions, and he only landed like 1 good elbow. But overall, it was a great performance from Alex, knocked Jiri out in the second round. Although I would have liked to see the fight go on a little longer, I'm not too upset at the stoppage. And after the fight, he called out none other than Israel Adesanya. Izzy cannot escape this guy. And I thought Dana and the UFC would be all over it, especially since that would be a huge money fight. And surprisingly, Dana said he would be open to it only if Izzy comes up and gets a win first. But Izzy said he's not fighting for a while. He's going to take a while off. He said, 2027 he'll return? Which by then Pereira will probably be retired. And to be honest, if I'm Izzy, I'm saying if you want that fight, you're coming down to 185. I want no part of Pereira at 205. But the guy who is next and should be next is Jamal Hill, and that's a very interesting matchup. I definitely would favor Alex in that fight, but that would be an insane fight. And if Jamal Hill is healthy, let's put that fight on at UFC 300. Alex said he's looking to stay active. As for Jiri, if Izzy's going to come up to 205, I would love to see Izzy versus Jiri, but more likely I think Blachowicz makes the most sense because if he beats Rakic, he probably doesn't get a title shot. He had his chance and came up short against Ankalaev and then just lost to Alex Pereira, so I don't see them doing the rematch. And even if Blachowicz loses, I would still like to see Jiri versus Jan because Rakic is probably going to go get a title shot. But anyways, that is the end of the video. If you are new here and you did enjoy, please be sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, like the video if you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.